Okay, guys. Just have a quick look at Bitcoin, a few options, looking at the indicators, and hopefully you can hear me as well clearly. And let's start. So, big picture, pretty much bearish at the moment. Still downward pressure. Looking at the RSI, and I would say that if this was a method to use until we break this trend line on the RSI on the right chart, if you keep with me, if we break this trend line, as well as if we break this level here on the daily, and then we are going up. So that's one method of working it out. At the moment, you can see my Phoenix indicator is very bearish. Everything's gone below 50%, so we are still pretty much down. Even though we've got a bullish candle, doesn't really mean much at this point. And as you can see here, that's pretty much a resistance level across the board. And I would think that this will in a day or two, we'll be in this bottom half, testing the bottoms, testing to see if there's support, and then we'll get a reversal. So right now, I wouldn't go long. I'll just stick to the small time frame charts and trade them, looking at this daily chart. On a big picture perspective, if I was to be bullish, I do see areas of influence or interest for me. These areas are pretty much, this area is really an area of interest for me. I will buy those dips. If it was to come down there, I'll buy them. Let's have a look. Why would I buy those dips? Definitely, so we had the first touch, and you can see that this area has been tested thoroughly, significantly. So there's two layers I'll go for. I think this will just needs to test the 50 moving average on the weekly. So we've broken the 20 moving average. We've gone above it. If it holds, that'll be good. But that bullish candle, so we'll need to see how this closes in 21 hours. So if looking at that, let's just increase that size so you can see it. So this area is pretty much strong resistance, and we've got a nice bounce, and the indicators don't tell us that there is momentum with it yet. We only had really one test. We want to see something like a few weeks like this, a few weeks in the area before there's a reversal. So you can see how that was a big drop, a few weeks, and another big drop. So I think it's coming into this wedge formation. At the moment, this top line, I don't know what it is. It's just a guess at the point. So if I was to go into a small time frame, let me just get rid of one of these indicators that crunches it up. I'm looking at, from that perspective, that it seems to be a descending wedge, and these areas of what I said, areas of interest. So that was one layer, and I've got the second layer. I've got my 50 moving average, and then I've got this fib level and confluence with this area. So I could try, give me a sec, and I'll try to put the volume on here, volume profile, see what that says. So yeah, so the volume profile pretty much says that this price, and it's perfect. It actually, they use that. So that was the means for the bounce. They use that level with the volume profile, where the majority of the volume was last time, and that was their entry, and there's that bounce. So that this does look like a descending wedge at this point. We don't have a confirmation. So what I'm looking at this point is, so if this was our A, our B, our C, our D's around here somewhere. I don't think it's going to break out. And then our E is the question. We can have E with a double bottom, touching the 50 moving average. Or we can have pretty much here with this dotted line. And I think, see how this dotted line has? That's part of the channel. And I think that's one possibility, or this 20 moving average is the next. So it's not going to be easy to figure out which one it is. So if I just move that away, this 20 moving average on the weekly, the fact that we dipped below it and then we went back up might be a point of buying in. So that's 42,300. So that might be a case where it might, but I don't think it's respected, but it might be. But you can see that it is fulfilling a wedge, and the wedge could be a double bottom or slightly above. So down here, I don't think it's going to happen. So this is going to come back up, and it's likely to be more of that range there, in my opinion. This is for short-term trade, and the target is B. So the level of B will be the target for this potential trade. That area here, that's what I see as a target, and then we'll take it from then on. So wherever this comes down to, that'll be our target, and I already have, funny enough to see that. So from the top, I've had that trend line. I just placed it there with confidence, and it seems to be perfect with B as well. Then I've got this additional, which is the wicks. I always have two. I have two lines. Usually there is two lines, and if it was to overperform, it will get rejected at 50,700 or whatever it is. But I doubt it. That will perform. So what it looks like to me from a bullish perspective, if you zoom back, and let's go to the 4 hour, might be able to give us a. It is basically giving us a symmetrical triangle in some form. So in my channel, I did say something like, we had this. Hold on, give me a sec. Let me just change the colors. So we had the resistance, which is curve, pretty much curve at the top. So if you look at the big picture, let me just actually do this. Just hide everything so it will be easier to see. And I'll need to close that as well. So we have that. So this is from a bullish perspective. You can see what's taking place. Now we need to see good support somewhere around here. Whatever that is, I think it's going to be tested. Could be like that. And if things turn out right, that will be my A, B, C, D, and E. So that could be a massive symmetrical triangle. So this is, hypothesis. I'm not going to trade it based on this, but I have my lines, and I have my levels where if it breaks below that, and I think if it breaks below, what's this at the moment? 37,700. If it breaks below this zone, it's bearish, I think. We can't afford to say that could be one level, and this could be the other level. So if we use the Fibonacci, yeah, so the 0.682 and the 0.5. So we've got two levels of interest from the macro level. So yeah, we might go and come down again. Either this is going to be tested, or this, from a bullish perspective. If that fails, then we break this. I think we break this massive trend line. So we have a trend line there. I think that's one of the trend lines. So if we break that trend line, it's not good. And I had one more, which is a bit more steeper. And where is it? So these are my lines of exit. So you can see that we can't break this trend line, this massive one. This one goes all the way down to there, I think. Yep. Yeah, that's the one. So we can't afford to break either one of these trend lines. And the Fibonacci. So if there was a case where we come back down here, I would find a bounce, but then that's going to represent 2018 type of thing, where we have the same scenario where we have this flat level and we keep bouncing off it and down. So this, we don't want to see that happening, but that's very possible. So if it comes down to here, yeah, definitely trade it, but be ready for that bear market. So I don't think it's going to happen. Now, what do I say? I don't think it's going to happen. On-chain data is pretty much saying that there's a lot of accumulation. So this is what puzzles me. But we spent a fair bit of time here. This was a significant effort for the bears to push it down, and it was just gobbled up. And the fact that it went up to here doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for these people. Just hold on for a sec. Out, come on. My little boy is pushing through the door. Okay. So, just from a psychological perspective, if we spend so much time defending this area, I just can't see this falling down that easy past this area. All right. We can't see it passing this level because there was just too much interest there with the big whales accumulation. They just bought it up. So a high or low will make sense. If it comes down to here, then there's some massive change to the market, and we'll need to look at the on-chain data again. But at this point, still bullish, just looking for a good entry, and it fits my thesis that this could probably go like that as well, potentially, where it's just, yeah, it can probably do that as well, can't it? It's not what I like to see, where it drops below there. So if it goes below there, I'll be definitely out this trend line. So let's clean that up. Just give my plan. If it passes this trend line, I'm out. And if it starts accumulating there and I see signs, well, I'll just jump back in. And if it comes down here, well, I did well because I've exited here. So if I exited there, and there's accumulation here again, and the on-chain data supports it, then I'll just jump back in, and at least I have more Bitcoin. Yep. So at this point, I do see Bitcoin coming down. If you missed the early stages of the discussion, the reason being is it's well, here's the reason why I'm shorting at the moment. In a sec. If we ever look closely to this, I do think this is going to come down. And where is that? Where is it? All right, so we're putting that back in. Oh, this was just testing the theory, where it could probably go. Now, watch this. If we look at ever so smallly, you can see this, right? Actually, it's not bad. It's holding, but it breaks through, right? So to me, this looks like a wedge. And what's disappointing about it is that there was no. So if we have this level, there's no retest. And if we had this level, that was a nice breakout. So actually, this might be the case where you might retest that. What we have, looking from the top, and just applying the rules. This is the 5-minute chart. What we have is pretty much from the start, we have one touch, or one to the third touch. I think this will require the fourth touch to, for it to go up. Similarly, we have on this horizontal thing, we have one touch, second touch, third touch. So the fourth touch makes sense from a horizontal perspective, as well as this slope. And you can probably say that that's going to be a nice move. That could be inverted head and shoulders on an angle. Or similarly here, we need to see that support. So this has gone up. It's going to come down. Maybe this is the area that I'm thinking will be good to buy, and then up. Make sense? So I'm shorting at the moment. So I think it was this one here. I shorted, and I'll just wait and close more shorts around here for BTC, and just wait for confirmation around here to see what's going on. So let me see what people are asking. So we'll go sideways, set a high low, and then go back upwards. If you're unsure, is it better not to trade at all? Yeah. If you're unsure, I'm pretty confident that this is going to come down. But with anything, there's no guarantees, is there? There's no absolutes, just methods. I'm just going with what I think makes sense here. It does make sense to me from for this small picture. But if you can see that makes sense. So we have a reversal structure taking place. All right. Now, if this was a break up, that's different. So if this could be potentially up. Then I'll use this as a means of closing my short or going long. Yeah. So I'll have my stop loss there, or just above it. So my stop loss will be around here. I'm thinking. I haven't done it yet. So if this was to go up, based on that, it breaks the rules a bit. That's possible. Now let's look at the indicators. So this is not the indicators I want. Let me just save this. I want to delete these. But let's see what the RSI does. Okay. So that's interesting, isn't it? Small time frame. Definitely a bearish divergence so far in the making. Let's go on a bigger time frame. Okay, that's not going to help. Let's look at the 30-minute. Okay, so 30-minute. Yeah, so this definitely. So the 30-minute is supporting it, supporting the shape, basically, and it's overextended, pretty much the same level with the others, and it's likely to drop, in my opinion. But you got to watch this level. So we'll look at what else can we look at? So this is the short term stuff, anyway. So if people are interested in the short term, that's what I think it is. And if this is the case, short term, but the big picture one, if you're interested in the big picture, you can see my right chart. And if I just make that line blue, so it stands out a bit, like I said, I'll be interested in that. See how I got this red moving average on the RSI. It's very consistent. It played support there, and we've got this bearish divergence that's playing out. And the moment we broke it is when we really went down. Then it even played perfect there for resistance on this moving average. So until we break this moving average, and it's probably similar to this blue line there, I will not go long. My Phoenix is pretty much bearish. Everything's below 50% on the daily, and you can see how everything's just pointing down. So we've got to see a reversal coming up. Just give me a sec, someone's at the door. Can you get the... Oh, okay. That's all your money. All right. Okay. I'm back. So just a parcel delivery. So right now, we found a good support area, but we have no indication that the momentum has changed, right? So the daily is pretty much bearish. I will not go long. I will not go long until I see this price goes above the 50%, or I see a reversal pattern in the making on the small time frame. However, I've already decided to be bullish, and when I already talked about where my entries are. My entries are, I'm going to have two entry spots. Right where the 40, about right there. If it comes back down to 40 or 41 and a half or so, and the next level, if it keeps dropping, I'll size in at this level here, which is between 36.5 to 38.5. I think there'll be some wicks coming down, maybe not, but I've still got. So I'm pretty much came out at a good level. So I came out up here at 46,300, 100. So I'm pretty well off in terms of cash ready, and I'll see that. But I do believe that we're going to go down. You can see this when you get a bit of a momentum to the downside, it's going to test the downside first before it goes to the upside. So the downside has to be tested a bit more than what we had. You can see this big move. Even though with any drops, you can see, like over here, for instance, you can see once there's a bullish candle, it comes back down to some level, retests. Many cases where you get a bullish candle, it still comes back to retest. So my line there, I do think it will be retested before it goes up. So I'm thinking along those lines, retesting. So from a bigger picture, now if we look at the weekly looks, see how I've got the green RSI on the weekly pretty much pointing down, but the red is nowhere near. So the red is coming to a bit of a danger. So once it drops this level of about 70%, then it starts to threaten. There's a threat to go down more. But if this starts turning around, so the next 2 weeks is pretty much going to tell us what's going to happen with the weekly chart. We don't want to see where the red and the green is below 50%. What happens then is you see it's a massive drop. So this was a very bearish divergence in the making, and once it starts to come down, you can see the green and the red below the 50%, and that's when you get this big deep pullback. We're not there yet. So that's how I use the Phoenix. It does help in that sense. Yeah, the Phoenix gives you a bit of an understanding on, I suppose, momentum. So I use this as a momentum indicator on the weekly when the trend changes. The daily trend has changed based, actually, just a look. This weekly trend. So the RSI is not below the 50% RSI. So the weekly trend hasn't changed based on this. And you can see that it's pretty much sideways, the weekly trend now. We actually lost a trend on the weekly with this one here, or is it? Yeah. So we lost it there, and we're trying to make up for it. So realistically, from a big perspective, the weekly trend has to pass that top level before we can say the trend's changed. But the daily is definitely on the downside, and the trend's changed on the daily, definitely, because we had once we break this level, the trend's changed on the daily. So now we're on the downtrend. And usually the downtrend goes down, and I haven't seen that daily RSI hit that bottom yet. I still feel like it should hit that level somewhere around here, the RSI, and you can see how the RSI is coming up to this resistance point, and it's probably likely to come down more. And that's how I got it. Okay, so looks like, let me just read some comments. Looks like they were going down again. Star Trek went on strike last night, so you yeah, Star Trek. Okay, it doesn't surprise me. We will be in a massive downtrend. That's the question, isn't it? There's conflicting information. That's the problem. So now let's look at just a touch on something that supports, because Bitcoin could do whatever it wants, but let's look at the US dollar and the SP 500. So what doesn't make sense is, all right, that Chinese company with its massive debt. I don't know how it affects the global markets, but I think it's a bit of propaganda to push the markets down. Yeah, they're in massive debt, $300 billion debt, but what's that got to do with the rest of the world? I don't know if it's I don't know how it affects the rest of the world. But looking at SP 500, and you can see my RSI. It did break this small trend. Oh, actually, let's see. That was a trend, so it did break it. All right, so that's a weekly. So that's where it's a bit bearish. That's a nice candle for the week so far. If it closes that way on Sunday, then that's great. I doubt it will do that. I think it's likely to drop. And the US dollar, so what happened was, as this dropped, the market's got the jitters, and they went into US dollar mode. So they sold their stock and held USD. That's why we've got the US dollar going up. If it was to drop or go sideways, or just go like that to another level, as long as it doesn't drop hard, I would see the US dollar going sideways as well. I don't think there'll be a massive exodus like this one here, where there was a bit of a quick move, where this went up very quick. So the US dollar is finding resistance based on the behaviors of the stocks. And it's a question no one can answer, really. And from what I understand is the US government's going to buy up stock with austerity packages again. So they might protect their stock market and the interests, and give their mates cheap loans and so on. So I'm interested in seeing what happens if it comes down to here. What happens? I think that's an area of interest. Actually, here first, 618, and then there. So I do think it's going to come down, and it might do one of these buggers. Yeah. So it's just, we have this A, B, C type of thing, and the question is, how deep is it going to go? So we're having a correction, right? So this was a nice A, B, C, a double bottom, and then up. and this was another smaller correction. If this is A, B, C, and then another move to the upside, and then continue on similar, I think that's what it's going to do. Just go sideways. That will hold up Bitcoin, in my thinking, and that will probably be the Bitcoin accumulation period. So I think there is a bit of a downside to Bitcoin. I don't think the US dollar. I think the US dollar is going to, like I said, this is the resistance layer, and US dollar will probably get into that layer, and then hopefully comes back down, and then potentially this. Whoops. Potentially this could be that like that, and then might look at from a different perspective as a channel. So this might come down like that, maybe down to there before we see another bounce, or down here. So I can't see the US dollar going really high, not based on the massive printing. It doesn't make sense. So that perspective gives me a bullish scenario to Bitcoin, but a delayed one. And a delayed bullish scenario means that we could be hanging around here. Whoops. We could be probably hanging around here for a while. Just around that area. If that makes sense. And that's a good area to defend. And if it passes that, you don't know. Over time, you'll find out. Like, look at this, right? You saw this. Like, you can see the bullish divergence coming into play, right? So I don't think it will be that big, but I do think that we might spend a week here, maybe even 2, not months, maybe a week or 2, just defending this area, and then potentially moving up. That's what we got. All right, let's see. Evergrande, 305 billion in debt, and another company there, 200 billion. 5 of the top Chinese property developers. On the verge of collapse. But like you said, you buy them forget. Well, okay, that's probably why. So if the Chinese economy is impacted by this, like you said, the GDP, that means the demand from them will drop off, which will affect a lot of investors as well. So a lot of money will probably be pulled out as well. Yeah, you can see that roller coaster ride. And I suppose printing money is just going to delay the inevitable, which is a collapse on the monetary system. But anyway, from a trading perspective, we just, there's too many factors in there. So we just pick our lines. We just need to keep your eye in parallel. We need to keep our eye on the stocks and the US dollar. I just have to. Yeah, you can't trade it isolated. So for the time being, I think things will just go sideways, no momentum, and then we'll see how we go. All right. So that's Bitcoin, and if that's the scene set for Bitcoin, then we are likely to see the other coins as well doing something similar. So let's have a look at Ethereum. Okay, so Ethereum's confused the hell out of me. There's areas where it's pretty obvious. So if I was to get rid of this for a sec, this could be a descending wedge, and I have these lines. This is Ethereum against Bitcoin. So Ethereum's done the top, and it fits the wick of schematics in some way. And so I see Ethereum against Bitcoin in this range, which what I said before, it makes sense that we're ranging in Bitcoin. Well, Ethereum might range as well, might range up or down, but in the big picture of things, it does look like. So if you look at that, it's not at the very top yet, is it? hasn't really hit all-time high in terms of against Bitcoin. So I do see, so I had this level here, up here as the main resistance. So I think this is a reaccumulation and then to the next level. So trying to pick an entry. So I'm all into I'm mostly in Bitcoin now. I'll drop Ethereum when we're somewhere towards the top. Just that wedge formation breakdown gave me that exit. And so when I thought Bitcoin was going to drop, I did. But I have this broadening wedge, and it's possible that Bitcoin, Ethereum could go up ever so more and hit this target here. It makes sense. So I do think, but how confident can you be? This could be a distribution. It could be one of these buggers. So at the moment, there is a double top and push down. I don't think it will come down, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Reaccumulation. So when we talk about reaccumulation, let's look at so what's doing my head in is a lot of the alts seem to have hit a key milestone. So anyway, let's bring out. I'll give an example, right? Let's look at this. That's dot. Let's just split into half. Okay, so what have I got here? I've got dot. And let's go to the daily. So dot hasn't hit its all-time high. When was that? All-time high was in May. So it doesn't make sense that it pulls back and then does less. It just doesn't make sense. And what we have here, Ethereum is pretty much, okay, that's Ethereum. Okay. These were the charts I was after. Give me a second. One was hot. How high was it? No, that wasn't there. Let me think. All right, actually, let's get out that up. That is a good one. So you can see ADA. So to me, ADA, where is this? Where's my... So to me, ADA, I had this in the beginning. So if we do the Elliott wave count, and I use, so that if you look at that, that's a bit distorted. It's really much more from that perspective. If we do this, so if you look at that, you can see it's a significant move. So if we go to logarithmic, it doesn't look so impressive, but it is. It's a bit impressive move to the upside. And what you can see that is ADA is actually broken this level, this resistance level, overperformed in a way, and then came back down. Now, if I was to use just the methods that we know to be applied, ADA pretty much hit the mark. So if we're to, okay, say that's reverse that, 1.618. Let me do that. If that was our top, you can see ADA, so if that was our range, you can see ADA hitting the 1.272 level, which is one of the targets. If this was a wave 3 to 4, if that makes sense. So that perspective, a lot of the alts have hit the top. And that's what confuses me. If the alts have hit the top, then, or hit a major target, it's going to be difficult to know if the next stage will be parabolic. So if the alts have hit the top, and the likes of ADA, it needs to go parabolic to make new highs. And that's where a bit confused in that sense. And for Bitcoin, if you look at my previous charts, Bitcoin needs to go parabolic as well from this point onwards. So if I was to do a weekly, and I'll take out US, BTC, USD, there's index. There it is. Where's the index? That one there. So if we actually the MACD doesn't, the RSI doesn't look great either, does it? Down there. No. So this, if you look at previous price action, let me get another chart. That's the one. US, BTC, USD index. I'll get rid of all these moving averages and look at the big picture. The big picture pretty much says that was the 1.618, and here, this one here to there. So if this was by 3 to 4 to 5, this was the parabolic move. If we're expecting a parabolic move and apply the same rules as we did to this section. So if we go from there to there, you can see, I'm just aligning this up. This is the most important part. I'll put that, make that white. You can see, so from this swing high to swing low, 1.618 was here, right there, which is our 1.618, same here. So if this is our wave, so I'm looking from swing high to swing low, this is our 1.618, right there. And similarly, if this was wave 3 to 4, swing high to swing low, that was our 1.618. So this rest of it is parabolic. And you can see how much it pulled back. It pulled back 30-something% before it went to the upside. This formation is very different, but it did pull back 50%. And if this is anything that comes down to here and then up it goes, I do see it going to the 2. In this case, well, 2 is the next level. In this case, if we add 2 point, no, 2 point, where is it? 2.2 point, and I'll do 2.272. Yeah, so it was roughly around there, if you can see. If I zoom in, you can see the parabolic component, after hitting the 1.618 extension, there was a big pullback like we have here. Obviously, this one's deeper, but it did recover and went parabolic, and it hit the 2.272. And so, if we were to add that here, just aligning it up, we can have a few targets here. So, I think this is how people work it out, which is about 200 grand there, maybe a bit overperform. So this bull market, as long as it doesn't break this trend line, I think. So as long as it doesn't break this trend line, we're in. So it might retest that bottom, and if it survives, it's going to go up. We might find a bit of resistance here in the short term, and then go up more to 2, and we'll see how it goes. But that's my thinking at the moment. I think this is our critical line. I'm not sure how you can find many lines, but so this one here makes sense to me a lot. So you can see how it just, you look at from, so this is a weekly chart, right? I'll keep extending it to see where it goes. So it really just stays up to there. And what we have with this line is so that was resistance, support, resistance, support. So it should be support. If we fail that, then expect something like that. That's my thinking. And it makes a lot of sense to me that if we lose that level, which is 36.5 or 35.5, wherever it is, we lose that level, we are going down big time, and then we reassess what that means. This probably could be a bear market type of thing, or maybe even like that, similar to what took place here. So once we lose that, it's going to drop, and then we're going to have that bear market type of thing, and I reckon that's where the bear market will come down to. And we can try that out. If we fail that, yep, to the 0.382. So I'm thinking, well, if that was to be lost, that level, if we lose that level, definitely it's a bear market. That's all I got. Doesn't seem like a lot of people online. Disappointing, but never mind. Trying to help people out, and I'm trying to think clearly while I'm doing this as to what's likely to take place. Hopefully that helps you out. If you've got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up. It's been, so right now, what's Bitcoin doing? As I'm trading, okay, it hasn't dropped yet. Yeah, it does find a bit of resistance there, doesn't it? So on the 15-minute, there you go, that's resistance. And it's pretty consistent. So I would say that. And if it does get above that, I think this will be the next resistance. So I don't see this going up much, like I said. And can you have a quick look at Tesla? See if you have, yeah, sure. If no one asks, I'll wrap it up. If there's people asking questions, I'll do it. So XTZ, let's see, XYZ, wasn't it? XZ, right? XZ, wasn't it? Let's do Teslas. What is it? XTZ, wait. All right. Ooh, Oh, nice. Nice bounce. Let's look at a bigger picture. Yeah, so you can see the double top came in, didn't it? I remember coming out of Tesla, I think I was stopped out somewhere around here. I stopped going long once I went down there. I think I got, and then I missed out big time. Bugger. But anyway, I did make out. So that's pretty much a double top, right? Let's just work through this. Double top. And pretty much that's our fib level. Okay, so it's finding support on the 0.618 with that fib level. So that was a pretty much clear reason why it did bounce from there. Let's do this, make it black. Now, what is it likely to do? So you can see it's ranging, and you can see I would sell 0.786. It's already hit a fib level. I don't think it's going to. So I'll take, if you got it somewhere down early, I would take some profit, because you can see historically this area, if we zoom in, you can see it was support and resistance, and it's likely to be resistance again. So if I was to massage this slightly bit more, this will be perfect there. And it might have a little bit more to go, but is it worth that risk? It's up to you. So this is, yeah, so I do see, and right here, you can see the wicks as well. So that range, right, that range there is resistance. So, and that wick proves it. So that red line is slightly overperformed. I do see it not going much at this point. Let's look at the indicators. Let's just put the Phoenix. So yeah, it's just that RSI wick, that can move any, like that's not confirmed until it's 21 hours later. So only then will you know, and by then it'll probably be too late. Let's look at the 4 hour. So we'll get that and apply it. So it might have a bit more to go. So 618 is slightly, again, it's still very close to resistance. So that range, it might go a bit more, but yeah, very hard. So that is definitely a resistance level based on this right there. That is definitely a resistance range based on this. So you're in the resistance range, and it really depends on when did you pick it up. I would not, if you haven't entered somewhere low, I would not go in at this point. And it does have a nice structure in the making. So that is nice structure in the making. It could possibly, like that. Hold on, let's do that again. And what I can see is, I suppose, aligned with Bitcoin. Somewhere, E is somewhere around here, in this range. This range will be retested, in my opinion, and then that it will break that broadening wedge, and if it breaks that one, and so two methods. I think it will go like that, and then the rest is a question mark. Yeah. So thanks for that. Because now I'll keep my I'll keep my eye on it. Look for a trade. So to me, first entry and then the second entry on the breakout. And there'll be a pushback there, and then up. So if it comes down here, it'll break out. Maybe just a little pull back from this level, and then up. It really depends on what Bitcoin's doing at the time, but yeah, definitely. And then that's a good move. And what can we say? That is percentage-wise. Say it's down here. That's, yeah, about 30-40% move. So that's worth taking. The broadening wedge is good. I like that. It just tells me it's not sporadic like the other ones. There's some rhythm to this, so I like this chart. Right, let me see. Can you have a quick look at it? Yep. Okay, yeah, I will close my trade out. I tend to err on the side of caution, being smoked to mid. Yeah, this area is all where we are in Bitcoin domain. All these trades should be long. You should just go in and out until we see better information. Make profit until we have better information as to what Bitcoin's going to do. At this point, like I said, where's my Bitcoin chart? Yeah, so looking at that, it doesn't look convincing, especially with that pullback. And anyway, we'll see how that goes. But I do think that this is going to pull back. Like I said, that line is getting tested. And if we look at, so you can see pretty much with the RSI, you can see what's taking place. The MACD, definitely, the MACD is bearish divergence in the making. So let's look at a bigger time frame for Bitcoin at this point. Yeah, bearish divergence is already taking place. And it's already, so it's not ready to drop, but it's building up. It's actually building up for a move. Don't know what move. If you look at the MACD crossover, and this looks like it's getting rejected again, and that tells me that once the MACD points downwards again, this will go downwards, and that's a 30-minute. The hourly, it looks all right, but not so strong. It'll be interesting. If it breaks that, we've got two levels actually. We've got this. So interesting. Not so clear now, is it, on the 1 hour? So I can see why this went high after that level there. That was like, that's why there was a big bullish candle once it broke that. So there is momentum to the upside on the hourly though. I've got to look from both sides, don't I? We'll see how that goes. So that line there, yeah, still, I'll have to see that line break. Not so easy. And wait for another. Okay, yeah. So not so greedy. Any else? Anyone questions? Let me see my YouTube part. See if anyone's on there to give me questions. Not so easy. No, so no YouTube questions. And that's probably it, man. No one else has got any questions. Just 3 people now. Before there was about 20, but now there's 3. So people are pretty much want to answer for Bitcoin, and that's it. Let's wrap it up. And if you want to continue this discussion, jump onto my channel.